Hello everybody, this is Evan Lazar reporting for CLNS Media down at Gillette Stadium with your 10 burning questions for the Patriots heading into training camp 2022. A big question that's on everybody's mind for the Patriots offense with Josh McDaniels now the head coach of the Las Vegas Raiders. Who will be calling plays come week 1, September 11th against the Miami Dolphins? Now, there have been really good reports out there about Matt Patricia being the front runner to call plays for the Patriots offense next season. Obviously, Patricia has experience calling plays on the defensive side of the ball. It's totally different in terms of verbiage, in terms of what he's looking at, but at least in terms of the system and the streamlining of the system, it's relatively similar whether you're calling the offensive or defensive plays. So Patricia has experience calling plays in an NFL game, at least on the defensive side of the football. So I can understand why some people would think he'd be the front runner. But in my mind, the guy that makes the most sense to call these plays for the Patriots in 2022 is Joe Judge. As we saw out at OTAs and minicamp, Joe Judge is your quarterback's coach. Yes, he's technically the offensive assistant on the Patriots offensive coaching staff ledger, but he worked exclusively with quarterbacks, closely with the passing game, working not only with QBs during positional drills and things of that nature, but then also breaking off with the skill positions, the wide receivers, the tight ends, the running backs during passing drills for the Patriots out at minicamp. If Joe Judge is going to be Mac Jones's right-hand man, and those two are going to be attached at the hip, and they're going to break down film together, and they're going to go over the install together in the middle of the week for the game plan, looking ahead to the next opponent, that it would not make sense, and it really would cause a potential confusion for the Patriots to then go in on Sunday, after Matt Jones has been breaking down the Miami Dolphins, let's say, for 6 days with Joe Judge, then they get to Sunday and it's Matt Patricia in his ear. There's just as a game of telephone that can happen there. When Mac Jones and Joe Judge's goal is to see the field the same exact way, he's the one that's going to be working as closely with him as Josh McDaniels did last year. I would like to see Joe Judge call the plays for that exact reason, because being on the same page as the quarterback, at the end of the day when it comes to calling plays, that's the most important thing. What do you like? What do you like against this coverage? What are we expecting on this third down? Those are the conversations that the quarterback and the play caller have all week long. If Matt Patricia is in the offensive line room and Mac Jones is in the quarterback room and they don't have those types of conversations, then what is he doing calling plays? That just doesn't make any sense to me. It doesn't add up. So Matt Patricia has a lot on his plate working with the Patriots offensive line. There's a lot to go over during the week when it comes to offensive line play. On Sundays, on game day, you always saw Dante Scarnecchia or Carm Bracello huddled up with the offensive line, breaking down the stills, going over protection calls, talking about different fronts, and now you're telling me that he's gonna have all those responsibilities and he's gonna have the play sheet. It just seems like a stretch if Matt Patricia has all that on his plate. Now, potentially, maybe the Patriots feel like Billy Yates, who's the assistant offensive line coach and a former player, could elevate to that game day role of breaking down things with the offensive line along the sideline to allow Matt Patricia to sit with Mac Jones and call plays on Sundays. But there just seems to be a lot of potential hazards or landmines, if you will, that the Patriots could run into with that sort of streamlined process. Let's see Joe Judge work exclusively with Mac Jones during the week and on Sundays. That's what's best for the Patriots offense. So the reports out there might be Matt Patricia. My inkling is that it might be Joe Judge. And don't sleep on Bill Belichick himself calling the plays for the Patriots. If there's one thing that we know about Bill Belichick, is he's not about to hand out any responsibilities to somebody that he doesn't feel is ready to take on that responsibility. So if Matt Patricia or Joe Judge or Nick Caley or Troy Brown, whichever names they're considering, do not separate themselves from the pack and do not really take that job by the horns, I wouldn't be surprised if Belichick himself has the play sheet for the offense and lets those other guys kind of ease into that responsibility. So the offensive play caller, still a big question for the Patriots, as Belichick joked about in June. There's no such thing as an offensive play caller for June minicamp practices. We really are going to have to wait until the preseason games, maybe joint practices when they do those live scrimmages against the Panthers or the Raiders. We'll get some inklings about who will be calling plays for the Patriots. As always, you can check out the rest of our Patriots coverage right here on Patriots Press Pass or on CLNSmedia.com.